Hi, everyone. Hi.
Hey. Hello.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Within the Cauldron and Behind the Witch's Veil. I'm here with Chrissy and Amy and Nico and Michael. And tonight we have Bill Tabone. I hope I said his last name correct. Bill has been in the paranormal world for over 40 years, and he is the co-founder of the Australian Paranormal Society, or better known as APS, or APS, as I said. Along with his wife, Amanda, and their dedicated team, they've built a great reputation in assisting those in need. Please welcome Bill Tabone. Thank you for being with us, Bill.
Thanks, guys. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. We are very excited because we love the paranormal, and you're from a different country, so we like to compare.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
So how did you first get started with your adventures of being a paranormal investigator?
Like what drawn you to it?
And also APS.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I always say I had an interest in the paranormal since before I could remember. So when I was really little, I read any books, any articles, anything that was on the television, anything like that. I was drawn to it. Anything unusual, whether it be spirits or UFOs or any of that sort of stuff, Loch Ness monsters and other things. So I would read, watch.
Uh-oh.
Never gave up.
Bill,
and
there he is.
Oh, we there?
Yeah, sorry about that. You froze for just a minute there. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. So yes, so from a very young age, I had an interest. I don't know where it come from, where it started. There, it just was there, and I got to around 19. Well, it's actually 19. It's actually a week of my birthday when I did my first investigation, or as I like to say, attempted investigation. You know, back then we didn't have all the gadgets and all that, so we went with what we had. You know, it was it was a little bit of a disaster, but other than that, it was what sort of started me on that journey, and then we just got from there to there. And from there, I would write to different people that popped up in the in my books or in the articles or whatever that I had, and see if I could get some answers. Some answered, some didn't, and learnt as I went along. The APS started when a group of people from different parts actually got together to form it initially. That lasted about, they all lasted about probably no more than a month, when they all ended up going off and doing other things, and left Amanda and I there with the, what had started this organization, and we took it on board, and we've pushed it from there. We've gone from there. So, and I think we've done pretty well. We've built a pretty good reputation in the field, and that's given us an opportunity. Well, given me and Amanda an opportunity to go to different places and travel and do that sort of stuff, which is amazing. So yeah, that's where I started from. So
yeah, I love that.
Yes, cool.
So how long ago was that you co-founded APS?
It'll be coming up about 18 years now.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's wonderful.
So quite a while. Yeah. We've had a lot of different people come through, different team members, different mediums, etc. And we've at one stage we had quite a big organization, quite heading up towards 45 people, I think it was.
Wow.
In different areas and that. And eventually we scaled that down just simply because people were, people have lives, people go and do their own things, and your commitments and such. So we scaled it down. We've got probably about a dozen now that we have on our team, and we have what we call an associate team, which is people that we can call in when we need extra help, whether it be on one of our investigations or one of our tours. If we need extra people, we have like a backup team. So yeah. So we're pretty dedicated to what we do, and as I'm sure you all are, and it's it's something we're pretty proud of. So yeah, just we keep pushing. We keep trying to learn as we go.
Yeah. It's always a learning process. Like, you're always learning, and I think even the most seasoned person who's been in the paranormal is always learning new things.
Yeah.
I've always determined that there's never experts in our field.
Absolutely. I don't like that word. I don't like expert.
Right.
Because really,
I agree.
how do we know when there's something we are still trying to work out how to measure, how to contact? How can you be an expert? You can be an expert in photography. You can be an expert in audio. You can be an expert in different things, but specific things that you have in front of you. But how can you be an expert? On you can. I always say people can have a great deal of experience, right? But I don't believe in experts as such. So
I agree with you.
The word, it's wording. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
It is about wording.
Yeah.
Wow. I think Nico, you have a question there that you wanted to ask.
Yes. Being in Australia, I know that there are Aboriginal spirits as well. Have you
Absolutely.
ever captured any in your paranormal investigations?
Oh yeah. We've had we have to sometimes deal with elders in certain cases. One location we actually run investigations at for the public is an old farm. It's in the center. Where we work, it's in the center of this massive park, and it was part of a big homestead, and had a really big Aboriginal history going back, obviously thousands of years before it become what it became. And we go in there, we do our own sort of investigations there as well. And if you sit there and you look at, there's trees everywhere, you can actually see spirits moving between the trees.
Wow.
Sort of watching you, and people have had a great little experiences with that.
It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
We've been there probably about 14 years now, and the number of people that just see these things moving around. They don't hurt you. They're not nasty. They're just there, and they're curious. You know what I mean? In some cases. So yeah, we have come across, and there's there's certain things you have to do. See, the Aboriginal culture, they don't like looking at the photos of the dead. They don't like them being on video. So you've got to be really careful in how you do this. So yeah, we have come across spirits as such. Yep.
That's awesome. It's a very different thing than it is here, because not a lot of our paranormal investigators film on Indigenous land to a point that they capture very many spirits. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's more with I find with the Aboriginal ones, it's more sometimes it's more personal experiences or what people see rather than what we actually capture. But it's when you're getting, as I said, in this one place, we've been there 14 years, and over the 14 years, we've had numerous people and ourselves witness exactly the same thing. So you know what I mean? You got to think, well, there is obviously something happening. It's not from shadows, as in car lights or anything like that. We're in the middle of a massive park, and there's no sort of cars driving through there at that time of night, things like that. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Bill, I'm kind of curious, what is the biggest misconception that you've run into when you tell people that you're a paranormal investigator?
I think a lot of people, that aren't really in the field, they sort of get a little bit shocked, I suppose. We had one lady. We had our you have T-shirts, so we were going to an investigation in our city centre. We had to go to an old building, and we're carrying our gear through the streets, and this lady looked at us, and my wife talks to everyone, so she stopped and she started talking to this lady, and she was an Asian lady, and she said, what's your T-shirts? And she told her, and this lady started screaming and ran away.
Oh, how funny!
I don't know what she thought we were going to do to her.
No kidding.
Yeah, she took off running. But most concepts, people. And I say this with a lot of things in the paranormal. People always confuse Hollywood with what reality is. Right. So they expect the proton packs or something like that, I suppose. You know what I mean? And but that, I think the biggest misconception is people just not, I'm not going to say ignorance, but not having the knowledge of what actually we do. And
Right.
we'll sit down, we'll talk to them if they want, and we'll explain how we work things and that. And we believe very much in education and helping people to understand what we do. So and we're doing that slowly, one individual at a time. So,
yeah, that's usually when you talk about being a paranormal investigator, it's like they're like, oh, you're summoning the devil and it's demonic. And I mean, it's like you just get all these things like unfortunately on some of the TV shows, which are paranormal and entertainment,
yes, absolutely,
as I call it, as opposed to paranormal investigations, that's the norm. Yeah, that's what people expect to see.
It's also the other thing, like I don't know about you guys, but for example, even within the field, like people will say, "Oh, don't use Ouija boards," and I don't use Ouija boards. I have, but I don't use Ouija boards, but we'll turn a voice recorder in and try to communicate with a spirit. What's the difference?
What's the difference? I mean? Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's understanding where you're, how you open these doorways and how you close them, in both cases. So it's a matter of Hollywood again,
Right. I completely agree with you. I've been seeing spirits since I've been a young child, so I've always been drawn to it because it's kind of like isolating in a way, which a lot of people don't understand unless you go through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've always wanted to find more answers. That's why, like, people like you, I'm like, oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, look, I find, and you guys too, like, it's there's so many good people out there, and I mean, obviously, we know what happens in the paranormal field sometimes with, jealousy and things like that. But when you find good people, it's great. Well, my wife was the same. She's seen spirits since she was 3, and but her family were not religious. They didn't believe in any of that sort of stuff. And she, if she mentioned it, they were talking about locking her up. At one point putting her away, and she just learned to shut it, to not talk about it. But she luckily didn't shut it down, and she kept sort of learning and studying and going forward, and now she is what she is. It's but it's hard for people to understand, especially if they're completely closed off to it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I've had a lot of like paranormal trauma. I don't know about your wife. Have you guys ever had a location that has scarred you or her in any way with paranormal?
Oh, we've had some. Yeah, she was. We did an investigation at an old jail, old Melbourne jail. Actually, it's in the centre of town there, and she's pretty good. We're pretty good with our protections and all that sort of stuff. But she was actually hurt, like she was stabbed, to the point where she couldn't even walk. I had to actually carry her out of the jail, and
wow,
doing a healing on her. That took a long time for her to get over that. And the funny thing is, we was only myself, Amanda, and my 2 older children who were investigators as well.
cool.
My daughter was on the first floor taking photos down to where Amanda was, and she was sort of under the gallows area where they used to hang people. And there's a photo there of this thing right near where Amanda was. It was a human body, and it's sitting on the ground, sort of holding its knees, pulled up like this. But its head was something else. It's really weird. It's sort of elongated, and it had ears, pointy ears, and a big bulbous nose, and these big black eyes, and it was. And I didn't find that photo because I actually forgot to download my daughter's camera. So for about 2 months afterwards, but when I looked at it, that photo was taken almost at the exact same time that she was attacked.
Wow.
And, and that jail had a lot of hangings, and there was pretty bad people in there. So jails, asylums, they always attract the darker stuff. So So that took her a while to get over it, but she's pretty strong. She's pretty tough investigator. She does. Yeah. She's been doing it since she was actually investigating since she was quite young as well. So experience gives you the knowledge to protect yourself better and things like that.
And the confidence too, because if you don't fear them, then they no longer have power with you. So
Yeah, exactly. It's but that was probably the worst. That took her quite a while to get over. Yeah. Yeah.
Nico's done all my paranormal trauma.
I'm sorry. When you ask to talk to a haunted object and I bring a haunted object, it's not my fault when the object is in fact haunted.
And then the object wants to play with you. So it was wonderful. It was a learning curve. It's fine.
Hey, it's an experience. There you go.
It is. Hey, Michael, do you have any questions?
Yes. So we talked about kind of the most shocking experience you and your wife had, right? I am curious as to what has been the most emotional experience you've had with a spirit or entity in your line of work over the duration you've worked with investigating the unknown.
Yeah. I the jail was traumatic. First off, jail was the most traumatic for my wife and obviously us. But there was a lot of other stuff that we've been through that was probably worse. But she didn't have that trauma from that. Does that make sense? So we can talk about a few of them after. But the most emotional, probably not one. I find when there's spirits that are stuck and we help them to move on, or we are able to help them in some way like that. That sort of makes me, I wouldn't say choke up, but makes me like you're doing something right. Does that make sense? For example, we went to a case and there was these two old sisters living together, and there was things going on. It wasn't bad, and I had a medium with me, and I had one of my guys with me, and we went in around the place. It was nothing nasty, but the medium went into the back bedroom, and he said to me, "There's an old lady in there, and looks really confused." And I said, "All right." And he said, and I sent him over to speak to the two sisters. Just to sit down, because they did some counselling as well. So I took my guy with me, Tony, and we went into this room. And I said, and I shut the door and I just started speaking. I'm not a medium, by the way, but I can feel good and bad. I feel that sort of thing. That comes with time, obviously. And I've said, I started talking to this old lady, and I said, explaining to her that she can move on and all, what she needs to do and all this if she wishes to leave, and things like this. And then we heard this noise, and it was like scales, music scales, like this, but it was more musical, obviously. And then we heard that, and then it stopped, and then we heard it going the other way. This, and I thought, what the hell is that, right? I said, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Went out there, and I said to the gentleman who was working as a medium for me at that time, I said, "Can you go into that back room and see what you can feel about that old lady?" And he went in there, and he said, "She's gone." Right? So we sort of spoke and we chatted, and what we believe happened was I explained to her what she needed to do, and she did it. And then that was something opening and closing.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and that hit me, and she was gone. She wasn't around anywhere else. She was completely gone, and that hit me. I thought, wow, how powerful is that when the person wants to move on, they can do it like that instantly. That hit me.
Yeah, and then a lot of times you just need to explain to them because they don't know. They're confused too.
Really?
There's no book for being dead, and only in Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, they're stuck. They're confused or whatever, and it's that little bit of just talking can help them. You know what I mean? And the other ones are like when we've helped with children's spirits. There was one where this little girl, she came up and she actually held my hand.
Oh.
And I could feel her hand, and and from my fingers to my elbow, it was freezing cold, right? She's holding my hand, and I thought, well, why is she doing that? And the medium I had with me then said, well, because she wouldn't go near anyone else, said that you are, she was from the pioneer days, so back when they were settling the area, because of the beard, you look like her dad. That's what he
Oh, sweet. Oh my God.
So, just because like I'm a mom and I could just imagine like, you know.
Yeah. You could, it's breaks your heart sort of thing. So, but yeah. So, there you go. There's quite a lot that were emotional help, yes.
Yeah, well, I feel like a lot of it can be like I had my grandfather came to me, and for me it was emotional because my grandmother didn't get closure for him, and then I had to help explain to my grandmother everything that was going on and what he had to say, because she doesn't have the gift that I do to be able to
right.
Them. Yeah.
But that's amazing to be able to do that and give people closure. Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
It's a blessing and a curse at the same time.
It can be. Especially when they all want to talk to you at once. Like, this what
God, yes.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst.
Yeah, your wife understands that completely.
And they're like right there, like in your
exactly.
She'd go to bed and she'd hear them talking through the pillow, trying to get her
attention. Yeah. You don't kind of create that boundary in your bedroom, I mean, it's
But now they back off and they step back. But she also has a hat she puts on when she doesn't want to work, and she puts it on and they leave her alone, sort of thing. So
I printed out rules.
Yeah.
And I have them in my living room for the spirits. Mm-hmm. And whenever there's a new spirit, I walk over and I read out the rules to them. And I was like, if you're going to be here, you have to agree to these.
Right.
If you don't, I'm going to walk you right back out that door.
Yeah.
Boundaries are so important, especially if you have any abilities, because they will try to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, exactly. I mean, they're attracted. They want. You're a voice for them, or that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You can imagine you imagine someone who hasn't had contact with anyone like yourselves. That the excitement they would have that someone can actually hear them, understand, or see them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I see another adult.
They're very lonely.
Yep. Yeah. It's true. Very true.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite equipment that it's like a must have? I have to have it when I go.
Equipment. My favorite is actually both a good camera and a good voice recorder. I'm at the point, and don't get me wrong, the equipment they got now is great, and I have a friend of mine who actually has a company that builds the equipment here in Australia. And great equipment. It's all hardwired. There's no loose wires. Everything's really good quality, and it's good stuff. But for me, when I do my own investigations, most of the time I will only use a voice recorder and a camera. Mm-hmm. Right? I find people focus too much on the equipment, and they miss the environment. A great story is I used to run a tour at an asylum about 4 hours away from here. Until I had an accident and busted myself up at work. So I was out for about 3 years. Haven't been able to get back there as yet. So we stopped that. But when I took a bunch of investigators into this asylum, some of my guys, some other teams, to do an investigation, and they're all looking at their gadgets, and they're not. And it drives me nuts when they do that. I'm sorry. So I'm very much on use your own senses as well. Use your sight, have equipment that can record, like a millimeter can record its readings, things like that, things you don't have to focus on. And I said, we're in a female ward, and there was a bunch of windows, big windows behind me. It's an old asylum. It's the Aradale Asylum, which is was the largest asylum in the Southern Hemisphere in its day. And so I had them in front of me and sort of like this, and my back's to the window. And I said, we're going to stop, put your equipment away, turn everything off, turn your torches off. We're going to spend a couple of minutes here and just be silent and look. So we're all standing there. And then because it was a full moon was streaming in, and I could see their faces, and all their jaws dropped open. And I was sort of, okay, something's happened. What's happened? And they go, behind me, a woman in a hospital robe walked past 3 windows behind me before she disappeared. And I said, well, spirit's working with me, obviously, right? Because if they had been looking at their equipment and we hadn't stopped there, they would have missed that completely.
Exactly.
So these guys were, I get it now. You know what I mean? Right? But I really believe that spirit was somehow working with me on that day. So yeah, absolutely. But sorry, I was going to say, for me, a video or still camera and a voice recorder. Absolutely.
Yeah. I always tell people that they are the most powerful tool, because I'm a lot like what you just said. I just like to go in and see what happens. Like when I was in Salem, Massachusetts, I didn't bring any equipment with me. I didn't use any apps or anything. I just used myself.
Absolutely. That's it. Especially if you got I believe everyone's got the gift. It's some that most people don't even know it. And you get the gut feeling, you get whatever, you go with it. You know what I mean? Use that feeling and trust yourself. Yeah. So there you go.
I usually my team, I consult with 2 different teams, obviously, as a medium, and so whenever they're asked the question, what's your favorite piece of equipment, they all go.
You are.
So I was gonna say, what's that?
Because like when I had my experiences, like I said in a previous podcast, you helped me and you confirmed it with what I was saying, because I'm not as confident with my gifts that you are. So
it's and I also believe that a team should have a medium with them.
Yeah.
Some people don't, but I believe that you work together.
Exactly. It's interesting. There's some teams, and I mean, there's no right, wrong, or indifferent answer to it, but there are teams that do have, like, they consult with mediums to get the answers. I mean, I did a podcast with a gentleman out of Texas, Galveston Paranormal, and he had said, he goes, my wife and I used to go on investigations all the time before he kind of gathered up a little small, kind of like you, a small intimate group of people that he does investigations with now too. But he just said the same thing. He goes, I want answers, and you don't necessarily get those answers from all your toys that you bring out to the cemetery. Let's just say you're going to a cemetery. You don't get those answers. Whereas when he hooked up with Emily and a medium and Granny Witch, she walked in and she told him, like, absolutely everything that he wanted to know about this particular site. And he was floored. He's like, now I have the answers that I wanted to have, and I understand more. So
I also believe that not every, like, a spirit may come to me and expose themselves, like unveil themselves to me, but they might not do that for medium red.
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every medium's different. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We used to have a TV show here. I can't remember what it was called, and they got all these mediums, and they would set tests for them. And I always thought that was wrong, because every medium works differently. You know what I mean? Right. Some of them, you see, you hear, you feel, you whatever. But they would put, for example, they had a junkyard and they put a man in the trunk of a car, and they had to go in this junkyard and find him. Yeah. But not everyone works like that. You know what I mean? Right. So, I always thought that was a bit strange, but wrong. But yeah, everyone works differently. So,
Yeah. And everybody's abilities are differently as a medium too. So
exactly.
And to back that up, Amy, that's absolutely right. Because the other part of it too is that the entities or the spirits that come through, they also communicate differently. Whereas one spirit might present themselves to me visually, but another one won't, and they'll only be audible. So it's up to me. It's up to me as the medium to be able to kind of discern who, what, when, and where based on those clairs, the clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient, there's all the different clairs.
Like when I was in Salem, I saw the old lady in my mind. I didn't see her there. I felt her energy there, but she only revealed herself in my mind. Like she wouldn't appear, you know what I mean? But I've had other spirits who just appear in front of me, and all of them are different. So
and that's just a different form of clairvoyance. Go ahead, Bill. Sorry.
Absolutely. And that's that's the thing. It's if you're work the same, it would be because you work differently.
Kind of boring, I think.
Yeah, you get different levels and different things. So which is great. Same with investigators. Everyone works their own way.
Yeah,
and that's
different.
And that's a good thing.
Right.
It was a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So, what's your favorite location that you've ever investigated? I know Amy was going to ask that question too.
I want to know.
For me, well, in Australia, we have the asylum I was talking about was Arrowdale Asylum. That's in Australia. That's probably my favorite. But I've been to the UK, I've been to the States there, and I'm a big sucker for Gettysburg. I love Gettysburg. I had some amazing experiences there. Oh, mate, I've had some great experiences there. Yeah. I also like the San Antonio. There's
the Alamo.
The Alamo, the Menga Hotel there, and there's it's a B&B now called the Beauregard Mansion or Beauregard House. My friends took me there, and it was really cool. It was really cool. We did just a little investigation there, but I'd love to go back there and actually spend some more time just on all these locations. I've been to San Antonio 4 times, which is I love the place, right? But I would love to spend more time there. Just take my time. Actually, we had great experiences at the Myrtle Plantation as well, which was really cool. So that was pretty full on. So yeah, but I would say they're probably some of the favorites. Yeah, definitely.
That's kind of like me with Massachusetts. I just keep coming back. Like I'm planning another trip in September. I'm like, medium rare, you have to come with me.
Yeah, let's go. It's
you to find the things.
Well, it's how better would it be to have somebody that's been there so many times be your guide? I'm like, this is perfect. I don't have to plan anything. Amy and Christy,
I got you.
That's exactly right. Exactly, when someone knows,
I can close my eyes and just take you everywhere.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nice. Yeah, you would like. I'm sorry. You would like Gettysburg. It's very intense. Yeah, it's very you can feel a lot of emotions there.
Absolutely.
You can sense a lot of sea and everything. I mean, it opens up all your clairs being there.
We I'm not a medium, as I said, but I experienced so much there. Like, it was crazy. We stayed at the last time we were there. I was with my wife and my son, and we stayed at the the hotel right next to Jenny Wade's house there. Mm-hmm. And Mandy was there. She was in the room in the hotel room. She's saying there's soldiers walking through, and there's little children, and there's so much was just going just in the hotel room. You know what I mean? And then it was. But it was a great experience. Yeah, it's a great experience. Sorry?
I was just going to say, is there a bucket list area that you want to hit, like in the United States, a place that's on your bucket list that you haven't hit yet in the United States?
Yeah, I'd
besides Gettysburg, obviously.
Obviously Gettysburg, and things like that. But Stanley Hotel would be good.
Oh, that would be really cool. My brother went there and he loved it. Yeah.
Waverly Hills.
A lot of activity.
Yeah, they say it's great. I mean, I just even the look of the place. I'm into history and all that sort of thing, so I like even the old buildings is good to check out, whether it's for paranormal or not. But it's they're great locations. Waverly Hills would be good too. I would love to check that out.
Yeah, that's on my list item.
Yeah, and there's so much. There's so many. You guys have so many things over there that I'd love to go to. So one day.
The never-ending list. Yeah. I'm gonna go to. It's a never-ending list. I'm going to that murder house here in Iowa this summer. I'm excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so much. There's so many places. It's amazing. I was lucky when we were there. We went to we stayed in San Francisco. Went to Alcatraz on the night tour.
Oh yeah,
that would be really cool.
And they took us down into the Citadel underneath, which was that was really, really special, really good. But just to check that out. So
San Diego is really haunted too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. it would be great to spend the night there. It would be great to spend the night.
It would be,
yeah. We do have a comment from the audience. Hippie Jet 4209, Fort Fisher in North Carolina and Captain Battlefield in South Carolina both have a lot of activity as well.
I can imagine. The Civil War and Revolutionary War is just so much emotions that go with it, and the violence and the brother against brother and things like that. It's crazy. The energy that must come off that.
So I have a question, just because you live in Australia and I'm like a nerd. Okay, we're not gonna talk about it. And I love wildlife and everything. Have you ever, like, on your paranormal investigations, have you ever like encountered any wildlife that you? Yeah.
We had. I actually had a. We first off, yes, we have a lot of bats. There's a again at the asylum I was talking about. There's actually what they call the ha-ha wall, which is the outside wall, and the design of it is the wall's sort of there, and then the land actually goes like this and then slopes down. So the top of the wall is really in level with the land itself. So it looks like there's no wall, right? And during summer, the connection here, all in this, all around the place, gets filled with tiger snakes.
Yeah.
Right? Tiger snakes are venomous, very venomous. So we've a few times been, we've had, when I've done the tours, we go down near the back part there where we have to go to the morgue, and you'll see one will be there, it'll take off. But so we've encountered that. And then just your general sort of owls, and sometimes we've had a couple of kangaroos on locations on the outside, and they're quite heavy when they walk. It sounds, and wombats, especially wombats, and they sound like someone with boots walking. So you got to be really careful what when you're recording and things. So yeah, we have. But I had an experience with a bat at the asylum there. In the chapel, and I walked in. I had a group of people, and most of them were investigators. We took them into the chapel, and I walked towards the back wall, and I leant up against the back wall. And as I leant up against the back wall, something hit the wall right next to me, bang! And turned the torch on, and there was a bat. And I said, a bat hit the wall. And I said, well, that's really weird, because they have sonar, so they don't run into things. And I had a guy with me who was an exterminator, right? Gets rid of rodents and things like that. And he come up and he looked at it and he said, this bat is been dead a long time. It's actually what they call it, desiccated, which means it's all the insides are gone. It's just the shell. Yeah. And he said, so something threw that bat.
Oh, wow.
It hit me, no joke, probably a couple of inches from my head.
Yeah, and, something wanted your attention. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, this chapel is it's. I think there's, well, from what we found, that we believe, and what we've researched and what we found, there's a darker history to it, like the ministers and things like that. Some of them may not have been the best people as such. So people that walk in there, a lot of them feel sick. They feel uncomfortable. It's quite a dark place, actually.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't surprise me if they were just trying to be, aggressive.
Yeah, some spirits are.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't have that crazy wildlife here. I've had an owl land in front of me, and that's about as wild as it gets here.
That's pretty cool.
Nico, Michael, you have any other questions you want to get out there?
I do. Nico?
Go right on ahead.
Okay. Is there any particular location that you refuse to go back and investigate?
Good question.
Yeah. There was I had a friend of mine, one of my team actually. He lived down on the peninsula, near the beach there, and we went down there one weekend and went with his wife and kid out to dinner, and we were talking, and he said, "There's a place I want to show you," and I said, "Oh yeah." And he said, "It's an old bunker." I said, "Oh yeah." He says, "You want to go and have a look now?" This was after dinner. It was getting late. kids were like 2 older boys now, 20 and 16. They were quite young, and 2 younger boys, I should say, were 20 and 16 and now, but they were little then. And so Mandy said, I'll take them back and put them to bed. It's okay, you go. So we went, and he took me to this place out somewhere in the scrub. We're on this road, and we had to walk through a path, and the path was literally about 6 inches wide, and this tea tree forest was all around us. You can't walk through it, it's so thick, and it wrapped around this concrete structure, which was we believe an old military bunker. It had turrets and things, and it wasn't very big, but it was there, and we don't even know why it was there, because you can't see the shoreline or anything like that, so we don't know what the defensive position of it was. So we went in there, and as we walk in, we could see there's all candles lit. So someone's been there, and there's symbols which we believe to be satanic down on the floor and on the walls and things. So we said, "Oh yeah, this is different." He said they weren't there beforehand, and so people have been doing something in there they shouldn't be doing. That was fair enough. I took photos and didn't have any gear with me, just took some photos, and then we hear it felt uncomfortable, so horrible feeling. But then we heard something walking outside, but something big, like crunch, crunch, crunch. My first thoughts were it was a kangaroo or a wombat or something. But then I thought about it, and I thought, this tea tree forest, you can't get through it. It's all intertwined and tangled. You can't walk through it like that. And this thing seems just really heavy, really big. So that sort of made me feel really, I thought there's something out there that shouldn't be there. And I said to him, we better get out of here, right? So the feeling was just horrible. So we come out of this place, down this path into the car, and on the road we were on, there was white pebbles on the side of the road. So we go back to his place. It's a 10, 15-minute drive. Pull in his driveway, and we hear clunk. Something hit him in the back of the head. Mm-hmm. We looked, it was one of these white pebbles from that road. I whacked him in the back of the head.
Wow.
But that wasn't even it. It was more the feeling that the place had. We ended up going back there during the day at some point and doing some work to shut the place down, so close it off, because there was something very, very nasty there. But I wouldn't go there again anyway.
I don't blame you.
Just didn't feel right. So that was the worst place. And I've been in the places. I've had I've had so many experiences in places, that you would think, if I told, I always say, if I told you some of them, they would, you wouldn't believe them. You know what I mean? But this was just dark. This was just horrible.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. When you went back, Bill, and the next day during the day, you were there during the night the first time, right? Yeah. And then you went back during the day. Did you happen to notice if the feeling or the energy level had changed at all during that time frame?
During the day, it always doesn't feel as dark, because it's, you've got the sunlight. It was a sunny day. It was a warm day, but it still felt wrong, if that's the word.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't feel right.
Curious.
Yeah, I've studied, with a lot of different people, and as you all probably have, do your demonology studies, and you understand that sort of side of thing. And these singles were, they were something to do with the darker arts, if you want to say, for want of a word. But even during the day, it didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right. So. Yeah, I didn't want anyone else walking in there and something bad happening to, you know what I mean?
Right. So, yeah, I agree. I was just curious because I actually had a location where, very similar to what you were describing, was that but in this particular case, it was an old historical, it used to be an apothecary in Clifton, Arizona, which is very much a mining town. And the upper level was boarders, and the woman had a boarder. It was a young boarder that went in, and I guess he summoned a demon, basically, in a nutshell. And the candles that he had on the wood floor, she was more upset about the candles than she was the actual, like, ritual and everything that was brought to the surface, so she kicked him out. So she basically kicked the host out. But when I went in during the night, it was exactly just as you described it, completely exactly the way you described it. But then when I went back in the day, it was completely different. You still felt a little tiny bit of it, but you didn't see the demon present during the day. He was definitely more prevalent at night, but that feeling, that's why I was asking you, is like that feeling was still kind of there, which is interesting.
It was absolutely still there. Obviously with daylight, our motto is, be a light in the darkness. You know what I mean? So, light pushes the dark. And so during the day, they're not gonna be as strong. I would feel in most cases, it's not all cases. And they have their, fear is power for them.
Right.
That's what they're powerful all the time. So human nature is we fear what we don't understand. And in the old days, the dark was what we feared, and it's still with us. So we need to understand that that's their power comes from as well. When we walk into a place that's dark, not necessarily us, but other people, we anyone that says they don't get a little bit scared at times, is talking rubbish. I don't care how big, tough you are. I've seen men bigger, like I'm a big guy, but I've seen men bigger than me run out of places, just because they get scared, and that's understandable, but that's what they feed on. So darkness would always be heavier.
Yeah, I agree. When I was first having experiences as a young child, that's what everybody told me. It's just imagine the light around me and they can't hurt me. And that's always helped me. But places that we're scared to go to, for us personally, my mom has an experience where she refuses to go back into a town, Powder Town.
Oh yeah. You
had a dark force like that.
Yeah, it was a gunpowder factory
that had an explosion, and a lot of people passed away.
Oh, okay.
Many people live there anymore.
Yeah, there was having a holiday party, and there was an explosion. It killed many people. Yeah, and so it's very haunted. It's near a campsite, so the campgrounds are very haunted. The lake is too. The barn.
But they had what my dad had, because he's not here. He had this dark, like really tall spirit, he said. And you could just feel that, when you feel that heavy energy to smack you like a brick wall.
Yep.
It was just following me around. And he's like, he's been at war, and he's like, I never felt fear like that before in my life until that spirit was in my presence. Yeah. And
I understand that.
Yeah. We do have a comment before we go back to Nico. Our friend Dante wants to know, do you have any location you would say is definitely not haunted?
Yeah, I've been to many locations that that people claim to be haunted and have found nothing. Most of the time I find they're private homes or businesses, and there's been something that's made the people uncomfortable, and everything gets put down to a demon or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I've had many experiences as well where there's been something like a past resident or something like that, but the people are so scared that they've pushed it to the higher levels, obviously being like a demonic or something. But the worst stuff I find with people is when a team goes in there that isn't they can have experiences, but they jump to the there's a demon there, and the place is cursed, which is one I've had many cases where I've had to go in where people have one lady just recently, for example, she's rang up crying, I've got to sell my house, these why these people come in, they told me my house has many demons and it's cursed and I need to leave. And I said, well, no, just wait, we'll come down, we'll have a look. So I took one of my sons down, went there. There was nothing of the sort. And this poor little, she was actually an Indian lady, a widower, and a really mousy, really, really jumpy. So you can imagine how that's affected her psychologically.
Well, of course.
went through the place. There was a couple of spirits there. My son's a sensitive like his mum, and he saw a couple of things, and he said, "There's nothing bad here," which we did. We'd done a cleanse anyway, and we fixed the place up, and we talked to, counseled and such, and she ended up selling the place anyway, right? But that's the thing, with people, and in locations, they're not always what they seem or not what the people understand. But again, there's also other things, as you were asking, that there's no activity, no haunting. Yes, definitely. I've been to places where I've told the people there's nothing here. This is, and we look for a natural explanation. So, we measure the level of black noise that's around the area. We look for contaminants. We look for high EMF, which can cause hallucinations and things like this. And we try to find a reason, but if there's nothing there, we're honest. We're not dramatic. We're not theater people. So,
right.
I'll tell you straight out. I'll tell you straight out. Look, dude, there's nothing here, and that's with Mandy as well. Like, as a medium, she'll, she'll say, no, that's not right. There's there's nothing, or it's not that. It's this, etc. So there's no fluff. There's, we need to be. I think we need to be honest with the clients.
Yeah, exactly.
Because sometimes, a lot of times, sometimes even for like small children, if they're really highly sensitive to spirits, sometimes it's just your imagination. Even as an adult, like you watch a scary movie and you're like, oh my God, something's happening here.
Your senses are heightened, exactly, and they're designed to put you like that. I mean, if you ever watch put a horror movie on, you turn the sound right down. It's nowhere near as scary.
Yeah, exactly.
So they target our senses. So they, that's the sound and the visual, and they target us to get that feeling. It's quite clever, really.
It is.
So, Nico, you have a question?
I do. This is what I like to ask a lot of paranormal teams. Do you have a process to vet the difference between somebody who may be struggling with mental health issues versus a genuine paranormal encounter?
Yep. We have a process of a series of interviews. We usually start just with a phone call, and then we will have, depending on each case. Each case, you have your standard operating procedures, and then you have to go into, we don't have a set mode for everyone. So what we do is each case is handled on what's presented to us and what the case is. So, some cases will need a lot, some cases won't need much, some cases will just need a phone call. So we start off, our standard start off for a case would be a phone call and possibly a couple of face-to-face interviews. And if we think there's something to go with, we'll head to the, checking the house out a little bit first before we even look at doing an investigation. We have most of my team are trained in what we call psychological first aid. So they learn to identify psychological issues. They can't diagnose, but they can say, well, this person seems to be is presenting things that are associated with this, and we'll go from there. We also have a psychologist that's available to us as well, and so we can call on them as well. Recently, I had a case. I work with a team based out of the UK, and I had to go and see this case. And this lady was, she was saying she was possessed and all this sort of stuff. And we went through the procedures. It's and I'm actually a Roman Catholic, so I work with priests and things like this. But this woman was saying she was possessed. We did try to help her there, and then I was told, just speaking to them, we went through the whole medical history, and she had issues. She was 80 something years old, this woman, but what she had was about 6 months earlier she had a brain bleed, which we asked her to go and get checked, and her husband to take her to get checked again once we learnt that, because what that does is that causes vascular dementia, right, and hallucinations and hearing voices and all sorts of things. And we asked them to go get checked. They refused to go get checked. So we withdrew from the case. But having said that, that is things we try to draw out of the people beforehand. So these people, they live half here in Australia and half in the UK. So they were interviewed extensively in the UK. They were interviewed extensively by me here in Australia. And that little bit of information was not given to us. But it came out after we had gone in to try to help them, and it didn't seem to take. And I knew it wasn't going to take because there was nothing there. This place had no activity at all. Speaking about going back to the last question, but this woman was, she seemed genuine. She believed what she was hearing, what she was feeling and seeing and hearing. But the brain bleed, as I said, will cause the vascular dementia, which is exactly the symptoms she was experiencing. And when we asked her to go get checked and they wouldn't refuse, we can't then verify that it wasn't that causing the situation. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So So that's what we look for when we're doing a procedure. So so the interview process is very, very strict, right through to get a medical reports and such. And if we need, if we get to a point where we'll do an investigation, or we'll do a cleansing or a clearing or whatever's needed to be done, we'll go that route. So, but all this has to happen before we even look at that.
I think that's amazing, especially because some people just need help and they don't know, right? Especially medically.
So. Oh, absolutely. And sometimes it's just a phone call. I've sat here many times for a couple hours at a time, just talking to someone, talking through their issues, you know what I mean? And, and they're fine after that. It's just, some people just need a little bit, and some people, they need a lot, but, they also need that other help as well, so, it's hard. It's hard. I always find I'm a bit of a softie. I find it really hard sort of walking away from cases, but I refuse to sort of, you can't waste time, on these things. You know what I mean?
Right.
As Amanda said, sometimes you'll get married to a case,
Mm-hmm.
and they just keep coming back even when that it's not something we can deal with or we should be dealing with.
Especially when you're like a sensitive as well, because like you feel their emotions as well, and it's hard to say no because how it feels to be isolated and alone in that experience, and all you want to do is help people.
100%. No, I agree. I think in this field, when you're working with clients, you need to be really, really switched on about how you talk to them, how you deal with them, not to increase their anxiety. You need to have, empathy with them. But you also need to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So a lot of people will go into a case when people are having issues, and they'll do their investigation, but they can't actually help them. They can't, they can't do healing, or they can't do cleansings, or they don't know how to do that sort of stuff. They only do investigations. So I think what people need to do is on those sort of cases, they need to say, look, this is what we can do,
right?
But we can't cleanse the place, And the people might say, that's right, just come in and see what you find, Or they might say, no, we need someone to help. So, you need to be really honest with the client.
Yeah, being direct is like probably the best thing you can do with anyone.
Yeah.
Because I think people are so easy, like just sugar coating everything. And sometimes you just have to be direct and be like, hey, this is what's really is happening. This is what you can do. This is your decision. If you do it, you do it. There's only so much we can do.
Exactly.
And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Do you have any future projects or any exciting locations you're going to be investigating anytime soon?
Well, we had a new location. Unfortunately, then the owner decided to sell it. So that was a bit sad. So
yeah,
I actually set it up. It was an old hotel from I think it was 1838 or something, which is not really old for you guys, but for us it's pretty old.
Yeah. Wow.
What city was founded in 1835, so it's pretty old for us. And I set it up for two of my guys to run, and unfortunately they have the publican who runs the pub, and then they have the owner, and the owner's decided to sell, so the publican has to move on as well. So everything just got shut down. But yeah, we also have little things in the works. We do a day called Paranormal Days, which is where we get speakers in. We spend the day and have people presenting different things. We have lunch and people can talk and have coffee, and it's a full day of people that are interested in the field to get together rather than just doing an investigation and things like that. It's something different. So this one we've got coming up. One of the speakers is from the CE5, the UFO group, CE5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're coming in to talk. I know the lady Jody. She's one of the head people here with them. They're good people. So they do an interesting talk. We do. Mandy does a presentation called Voices of the Dead. Amanda, her main work at the moment is with cold cases. For the last 40 years, she works with the police. Oh, with the police, not for the police, as she says, the police.
That's cool.
Yeah. So one of the ways she does is she gets her cases, and she obviously does what you guys will see. But she actually gets these spirits to come through it's a box that was designed for her, where it uses just word banks, and we actually try to record their answers. And it's amazing what she gets. And so she presents some of those recordings that obviously aren't identifying anyone or anything. And we show some of the recordings we have, but we've had all sorts of people come through. Her father, who's passed away, comes through. We actually lost 3 children, 3 miscarriage, and they come through. They've come through, and they say hello, mummy, and sort of thing. It's things like that. So
I love that you still have a connection with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's a lot of little things going on at the moment. I got my son is he's on a plane at the moment heading to Japan. He's working there for a year, but he'll be doing some investigating over there for us. So we'll see what he comes up with. Bunch of little things. I tend to play things close to my chest most of the time. So half the time, even my team don't know what I'm doing. So it's it's always a surprise.
Well, if you have any really exciting locations coming up, let us know, because we'll love to talk.
I will. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nico,
I was going to say, if you get down to Australia, let us know. We'll
I would love.
Oh, we love to
It's
go.
like on my bucket list.
Here.
It's a great place. I got to say, it's a great place. But then, I love America, like the UK, the US. Mate, I love the US. It's, I suppose, a safe way for you guys. There's a different country, different excitement.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're in the US again, and you're over in Georgia. Let them know, and they'll let me know, and you could come explore some of the old abandoned military buildings on base.
That sounds awesome. That sounds really good. Mate, I'd love to just be able to spend time just traveling across the states, just stopping at all these brilliant places. So one day.
Yeah, if you ever go to England, let me know.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely. It's actually Georgia was really interesting on our list, and same with New England. There's a whole lot of places through your research and your reading and things that pop up that we always want to get to. So one day.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah. Well, your country is so energetic, and
Right.
There's a lot of energy there, lots of history. So you're blessed to live in a country like that.
It's a nice country. It's it has its flaws as with any country, but it's quite a young country, which is interesting. How people always say it's so young. How's it got all these spirits? Well, it doesn't take much, but there's so much has been cramped into such a short period of time. I always believe, and that's why there's this, as you said, energy. There's this massive energy of spirit around the place, and it just makes the place really interesting. Yeah.
Well, before we close out, Nico, is there anything else you want to say before we close?
Or Michael? for Colleen?
Nope.
I think it was awesome.
Yeah,
It was a pleasure.
Yeah,
it's been great. No, I appreciate you having me on. It's good meeting good people, and if anyone wants, jump on our Facebook, send us a message, say g'day, and ask questions.
I just want to come and visit, so I can
Come and
see
visit.
all the animals.
I just want to go see the paranormal there, and I'll be there. Yeah.
I am a
Come
master.
on over.
No, the kangaroos I heard are really aggressive. I think I'm okay.
They can be. I have where I live. We have bushland across the road, and on my front lawn, we'll come out there and there'll be half a dozen kangaroos eating grass. We've had echidnas. Do you know what an echidna is?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the spikes. We have them on our front lawn sometimes. They're fun. They sound like when you try to move them, they sound like cartoon characters. They're just boys, and it sounds like you're in a cartoon. Yeah, so it's quite fun. There's wildlife's interesting. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is really.
Yep.
It is.
I am.
Colorado, it was interesting. Now that I'm in the Midwest, it's not so exciting.
No.
Yeah.
I just
I'm
have
a-
the spirits,
And the tomatoes.
Oh yeah,
I get
he
it.
has a bunch of wildlife.
I am a master herpetologist and wildlife biologist. So
Oh, there you go. You love it here.
right, that's the plan to go there eventually. So.
Yeah. We got some interesting reptiles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures. I think I'm okay.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when he was talking about that wall and the way that the land hits the wall this way, and this is where all the snakes are. I'm like, that's where Colleen won't be.
We will be going the opposite direction and be like, "Hello, snake. You can stay there." Okay?
That's right.
For us.
the snakes. That's those snakes there. The first thing they say to you the guy that runs that tours there, who I was working
Yeah.
through, the first thing they say to you, and I've been there a lot of times, but they say to you, don't go near the wall. Especially when it's, don't go near the wall. Why? There's a few snakes down there.
You'll see me with a bucket and my grabber just running towards the wall.
I was gonna say, yeah, Michael would be out there. He'd be snatching
man,
it up.
I'm not a fan of snakes. I tell you, I'm
not either.
I have a
That's
10-foot. I got a 10-foot one right here next to me.
Ah!
A snake.
We used to have a bow. Yeah, we used to have a bow up before we got rid of it.
Oh no.
The hoop snake. I love a good hoop snake, though, hippie.
I have a healthy respect for reptiles.
Yeah. That's what you got to have.
So do I do. I do too from a distance, I can appreciate
That's how I feel about
Yeah.
bears too. I'm like, you can go over there. You're good. I'm gonna be over here doing my thing. Let's just not bother each other.
Yeah. Stay away.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, Bill, it's been lovely to meet you, to visit
you,
with
guys.
you.
It's
I
been
think
really interesting.
I think we all want to go over and meet you and hang out with you.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
we need to win the lottery ticket.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he was supposed to give us the
I'll get
number, because he's traveling
I'll send
from
them
the
over.
past.
I am a determined woman. I'll get there.
It's been awesome, guys. Thank you.
Tell your wife thank you for letting you come on and visit with us. And
She's a bit shy. She doesn't do podcasts very often.
tell her we say hi if she listening.
will.
Hi, Amanda.
I
Thank you
will.
for having your husband come on.
Yeah, thank you so
Yeah.
much.
We
Thank
like
you,
to
guys.
have you on again after you get some new adventures. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Enjoy-
Anytime, just let me know.
Especially
Yeah.
because your wife's a medium too, so you have like a different point of view.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's I and not because she's my wife, but I admire what she does. It's and all mediums that are that are genuine. You have to admire them. Like wow.
Mhm.
Speaking with spirit. That's as Red said. Privilege and a curse. Sort of thing. So but a privilege, I believe. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
To the audience, thank you. Check out his Facebook page, please. And always share, subscribe, and like to the Within the Cauldron and our sister podcast, Behind the Witch's Veil.
Yep.
And until next time, stay blessed, everybody. And Bill, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Just hang back for a couple minutes backstage with us if you can too.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks. Appreciate it.